What's going on, guys? In this video, I wanted to talk to you about why you should get off social media. Before we get started, my name is Keith. I made this channel to help men create their ideal lives through self-mastery. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. So let's get into this. I got 3 main reasons why I think you should be getting off social media. I've also got a couple reasons why I think you should still be on it, but for the most part, people are spending far too much time on social media, and these are the 3 main detriments I see. I'm going to leave the whole thing about like narcissism and the Instagram validation, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to leave that out because I think everyone kind of realizes that by now. But these 3 I had down here. The first one is that social media causes you to disassociate with real life. And by that I mean you don't spend time in your body, you spend time in your head. And when you communicate with a person in physical in like face-to-face conversations, your conversations are a lot different. There's a lot more energy going around. The dynamics are different. You have to be more in your body, whereas when you're communicating over social media, first of all, you've got this persona that you've put up online that's not actually you. It's just what you want to show people, and you're living up to that, and they're doing the same thing, and you're playing this game with each other, but deep down you know that you aren't exactly the persona, but you don't notice that about them because all you see is the persona. This is really applicable if you're a guy who's trying to talk to a girl on Instagram or on Tinder or something like that. This becomes very applicable because you just see the pictures she's put up. You don't realize she's edited them, and she's got this whole persona she's put together, but deep down she might be insecure. In fact, I know several girls who are like that, who put up this front on social media, but they're actually insecure inside. And I think that's a common knowledge thing at this point. But when you disassociate from real life, first of all, like, you notice people's communication skills continuously declining because we spend way more times on the phones. You're more detached. There's less risk, right? Like if you're a guy and you want to go ask a girl out in person, there's a risk involved in that. It requires you to actually show that you have balls, whereas just sending some message on Tinder or Instagram or something like that doesn't require any balls to do. And you just get lumped in with all the other guys, so it doesn't even work for your purposes because you just look like every other guy. You're not interacting physically, and when you're not interacting physically, you're not in your body. And a lot of times guys notice this, where they'll be out hanging out with people, like you go to parties, you got social anxiety, things like that. It's because you're not used to communicating face to face, and there's more going on than just when you exchange text messages or even on FaceTime or something like that. Another big thing that has to do with this outsourcing your self-worth and identity into these pictures and videos or posts or whatever it is. When you outsource your self-worth like that, because you start to look at other people, what do they have, what do I have, and play this comparison game and things like that. And I don't know if I'm the only one who does this, because I know I'm not the only one who does this. I think the majority of people around my age do this. Ask yourself this and start to become aware of this, because I started to get aware of it. Is I would think about going on a vacation or something like that, and I would think about the picture I was going to put up from the vacation. That's immediately about being disassociated with yourself. You're outsourcing your happiness. You want to put this picture up that shows you were happy rather than just experiencing the fact that you were happy. And it's fine if you want to put up a picture, but the picture should just be kind of spontaneous. It shouldn't be like the primary thing you're thinking about. And I'm not saying it's the only thing I think about, but it just comes up. And I'm aware of that now. And I think the overwhelming majority of people in this generation are going to say the same thing. You think about the picture you want to take when you go somewhere so you can show other people what you've been up to rather than just doing it yourself. And again, that's about outsourcing your self-worth to the crowd. Look what I did, rather than just experiencing what you did. And you again disassociate from real life because it's all about putting something up for a persona, because personas are something we all put out when we go to social events, but when you make a real friend, you have to kind of drop the persona. You start to show more of a vulnerable side. You admit the things you don't want to show off. You do this with your significant relationship as well. And on social media, you don't do that. It's all persona, and it creates this contrast between yourself that you really are and the internet impression that you're putting out. And that contrast causes a lot of mental issues. It causes you to feel really low on self-esteem. It causes you to do a lot of vain things to try and get attention. It's just not good. Second thing I've got down, it's a huge waste of time. I mean, it's just obviously a massive, massive waste of time. There are I put down 2 main reasons why you should be using social media. It should be used because you're putting out content. Even if you're just having fun with the content, that's fine. or it should be done because you're learning something. So if you're on YouTube, and even with that one, people get into analysis paralysis where they've watched so many videos on a subject that they never take action and they don't know what's correct. Sometimes you got to get all the information out of your head and just act, right? But I'll give you that one, that learning is very valuable on social media, especially YouTube. And if you're putting out content, that's great as well, because you're now the creator rather than the consumer. You're the producer rather than consumer, and that puts you in the position of actually you're focused on a purpose rather than just getting fed a bunch of information all day. The other one I put down is also possibly if you're meeting new people, but generally you should go meet new people in person. But I understand that in today's age, sometimes it's better to meet people online as well. So I did throw that one in here. But generally speaking, if you're spending all day just scrolling around on the phone mindlessly, which we all fall victim to, you're really not doing yourself any favors. This is why I haven't been on Instagram in a few months now, and eventually I'll get back on, but at the situation I was in my life right now, I wasn't going to be using it for anything valuable. I was just going to be looking at other people's stuff, and I didn't really have any content plans I wanted to put out for Instagram, so I just got off the app because I knew it was going to distract me and it was going to cause me to not focus on what I need to focus on. And eventually I'll come back when I'm ready to, probably after this lockdown's over with, and I can go out and start doing some stuff again. But I just took it off my phone. The only social media app I use now is YouTube, just to put out the videos, basically. And the final thing I put down here, the third reason why you need to get off social media, is it brainwashes you into thinking everyone's happy and successful, and it changes the way you think. All right, so you look at this does go along with your own self-worth and self-esteem, but you look at other people, and I fall to this because I've had, like, specifically sometimes maybe I've had a relationship with somebody where I know the person's not happy, and like we've broken up, we've moved on. I'll see her, I'm like, this girl looks like she's just having the time of her life right now, and everything's perfect and nothing's ever gone wrong. But I know in my mind it's hard to associate it because you're looking at all these pictures and looking at all this persona that looks like they're happy and everything's great, but you know in your mind you're having to wrap it around, well, I know deep down she hates herself. And she's doing all this to try and outsource her validation and get other people to confirm to her that she's worth something because she doesn't feel it within herself. So you lose that connection with your inner self when you spend too much time on social media and you start worrying about what other people are thinking and stuff when you shouldn't. So honestly, guys, and also I really want to talk about this. These big social media platforms are also censoring content now. They don't even believe in free speech. So luckily my channel's not that big, so they're not going to come after me really. But if you have a big enough channel that they're paying attention to it and you put out something they don't like, they will immediately take your video down. I've watched YouTube do this with a number of videos on the coronavirus situation because they're trying to brainwash you into this one story they want you to hear. So they're controlling the way you think. So if you spend all day on these social media platforms, the same way if you watch the mainstream media all day, you're going to get fed the narrative they want you to hear that is in their best interest. And think about it, for these tech companies, for example, they're censoring any content that says anything contrary to the World Health Organization or to the idea that this coronavirus pandemic is just an awful situation. They're censoring it all. Why? Because everyone's spending more time locked in their houses using these social media channels to communicate, and their views are going up on things like that. People are spending more time on their platforms, so of course they want you to think this is the worst thing ever. They want you to stay on the platform. They get more money off it, and they get to control the channels of communication. If we're not talking face to face, we're talking through their channels. They can intervene, and they can change the way we see things, and they can alter the world's consciousness basically and have us thinking things that aren't true. So guys, I really recommend, honestly, if you find yourself in a place where your life is not exactly where you're going, where it's not exactly what you want, take a look at your time on social media and see if you've been spending way too much time on it, if you've been wasting time. I fell victim to this last week. I was spending way too much time on social media on the dating apps. The dating apps, I guess when I said that I hadn't been on social media in a while, I forgot about them. I had been spending time on these dating apps that I shouldn't have been spending time on. I'd gotten distracted just because I haven't been able to go out and stuff. And I realized I was wasting so much time using these things. So I ended up deleting all my profiles, like altogether, completely deleting them, because I realized I was wasting so much time on these things and it wasn't productive time. Like I wasn't getting anywhere with it really. It's not a very high value way to talk to women anyways. So, I mean, I watched myself do it and I watched my entire week get get derailed, and I watched my mindset go downhill, so I know this is how it works. And guys, I would really recommend, if you find yourself in a spot where your life's not where you want, take a hiatus from social media for a few weeks and just see how things feel, see how things go, see if you have more clarity on what you want, and then re-ingratiate yourself back into it on your own terms. Most people don't realize they're addicted to this stuff too. Try deleting social media off your phone and watch the impulses in your mind to go check it, and you'll realize it's an addiction like cigarettes or alcohol or something like that. But guys, that's all I got for this one. If you like this video, be sure to give me a like so I can reach more guys with my message. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.